Hi everyone, it's Roger and James here from the What's on Disney Plus podcast. In this episode, we're going to be talking all about the purchase of 21st Century Fox by Disney, how it's going to affect movies, how it's going to affect television, and more importantly, how it's going to affect Disney Plus. We'll also be talking about some of the other big kind of news and rumors of the week, including the Mandalorian show, Ewoks, and also Grey's Anatomy. So before we get into any of that there, make sure you do subscribe to the channel on YouTube. You can also subscribe on the audio platforms, and you can follow us over on social media. But before we get into the news, James, what have you been watching this past week?
Not an incredible amount. It's been kind of a busy week getting used to a new job position. So not much, but I did. This is a weird one. I've been watching the Tangled Show. Right. Rapunzel's Tangled Adventures or whatever it's called. And I kind of went into it mostly blind. I think I saw the TV movie that led into it. It's like Before Happily Ever After or something like that. And honestly, I've been enjoying it. I'm not the target market for it, so there are parts of it where I'm just kind of like rolling my eyes and going, oh, please. But aside from that, which is to be expected, the animation's good, the music's good, they got the actors back, and yeah, it's been surprisingly fun. I just kind of been binging through it.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. This is one of the things I'm looking forward to with Disney Plus is when hopefully things being now the international and Disney and all that being interconnected a lot more, the reshuffles, that we start getting stuff more quicker, because Disney Live, which is the UK subscription service, is not the most up to date. So these kind of things, unless I get the Disney Channel, it's just a little bit more awkward. So yeah, Tangled I've not been able to keep up with. On Disney Live, I've been watching through, continuing on with the Clone Wars, Star Wars: The Clone Wars. My aim was to I want to get through all 6 seasons before Disney Plus launches with the new Clone Wars series. I'm about halfway through season 2. I can see where I'm going with this one. I'm falling. The more I'm watching it, the better it's getting, and yes. I'm definitely feeling, because I watched the first season when it came out the first time around. Just put it off as a Star Wars show, and it kept building up. Of course, now I'm watching it, and I'm like, yeah, this show is getting better. I'm only on season 2. I've watched through 4.5, or technically 3.5 seasons, because the other half of the season 2 hasn't hit Disney Life yet, or season 4 hasn't hit Disney Life yet. But yeah, I really enjoyed Rebels, and now I'm kind of going back and doing Clone Wars, so that's been pretty good.
Yeah, Clone Wars was definitely a show where the quality of it just kind of went upwards the further you went. And I think a lot of it was the team involved behind it kind of hit their stride, and they were also allowed to kind of start moving away from being a kids show at times. Yeah. I think there was a compromise I remember reading about where they would say, all right, we're going to do a short arc, 3 or 4 episodes, which will tell a serious story. It'll be a war story. Still toned down, still a kid's story, but violent things will happen. Characters will die. Actual consequences will occur. Yeah. And then we'll have a 2 or 3 episode arc where Jar Jar Binks and R2-D2 will do wacky, crazy stuff. And then we'll go back and do another one where clone troopers are, working for a general who doesn't like clone troopers. Yeah. And so they found that balance. And once they found that, the quality just shot straight up. And then you get into seasons 4 and 5, and I won't talk about those because you haven't gotten into them yet, but yeah, it definitely got really good. And of course, the main concern now is with the new season coming out, the final season coming out, will that quality hold up? And I think, having not seen it yet, a lot of it will, because the stories that they're creating now were actually written back when the series was still coming out. Yeah. Pre-production had already been done on several of them, and some of the stories from that missing season have been referenced in some of the books that have come out. Like Ahsoka talks about one of the battlefields, her last battlefield, where she actually encounters Maul. And so that's going to be kind of fun to see.
So that one's good. Also watched it was Iron Man 3 and a little bit of Pirates of the Caribbean. They've been on TV, so I've been watching them. But also continuing on with Grey's Anatomy and Good Doctor and Station 19 are some of my little ABC shows that we've been watching just regularly for a while. But let's jump into the kind of the big news of the week now. So 21st Century Fox has now finished and been purchased by Disney. It's complete. It's done. No more discussions about it. What's happening? Is it going to go for any more loops? It's done. Disney came in on Wednesday, purchased it. Thursday morning, they went over to the Fox studio and kind of started letting people go. There was a big issue with this one. But before we go into that, just a quick rundown of some of the things that Disney now own, especially from the television side. So, and the movies. So they brought 20th Century Fox, Fox 2000, Fox Searchlight. They've also got the Blue Sky Studios, which is like Ice Age and Epic and a few other bits and pieces. They've also taken on National Geographic, which we know is going to be a major part of Disney Plus. They've taken on FX. They've also taken on like Fox Studios, and a number of franchises come into that. So we're going to be seeing a massive shift moving around. So Disney went in and really hit the movie division really hard with layoffs on the Fox side. They sort of said that Fox 2000 will be finishing up their projects and that branding is going to be going. A lot of surprise from like industry experts and stuff. Honestly, from my point of view, I was a bit like, there's no reason for Disney to keep Fox 2000 as a brand. That doesn't make any sense. They want to put everything under the 20th Century Fox banner. They're also moving the Fox family movies under the 20th Century Fox banner. I think that's important as well from the Disney Plus side, because I think the family division is definitely going to be prime for Disney Plus.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate for the people who got let go. But as we've talked about both on this podcast and over on the Diz Kingdom podcast, most of the people who got let go, it's either upper management, so they'll land on their feet, or the creatives who unfortunately or fortunately, depending on your point of view, are used to this kind of inconsistency. A lot of them work on contract basis. It's probably not how it should be, but it is. So yeah, it's not a good thing, but a lot of them will land on the feet. A lot of them will probably end up applying to Disney and probably getting jobs back under the Disney banner. It's just an extra step. It'd be nice if they didn't have to do that extra step, but that's just the way the movie industry works.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the layoffs from the movie side, where a lot of it was duplication, a lot of it was they've moved a few of the execs over, but a lot of them will let go. A lot of it in the PR, the marketing, etc., because Disney are going to be taking over all of that there. We're going to start seeing a big shift, I think, whereas Disney are marketing this stuff. So hopefully we will get an idea of what's going to be going on there in the months ahead. It's going to take a few months for them to work it all out. Nothing's going to be happening quickly. The television side was a lot less, wasn't as bad on the Friday. A lot of people were expecting some big layoffs like we'd seen from the movie side on the Thursday. With the Friday, there was a few bits and pieces, but generally they want to, by the looks of it, they're trying to keep the companies of Fox Studios and the FX Studios pretty much just carrying on as they were. The main thing they want is they want that production. They've been talking a lot about this, and a lot of things was they want to keep that ramping up of content for their streaming services, Hulu and Disney Plus. So even like the movies and stuff, they've moved a lot of the middle management and the management, but they actually making the content. That's what they want. They wanted this machine. They've just managed to buy all these machines now, making content plus that massive back catalog. And that was the key thing they wanted. So there could be some more layoffs, and there is a lot expected this coming week ahead. But it does look like, and they've been very open about the fact that FX and the Fox Studios for the television side, they want them on board because of filling up those channels, but more importantly, filling up the streaming services.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of that's kind of the part of the merger that kind of gets glossed over is it's not just the back catalog, it's all the resources to get started on new properties or finishing up properties right away. Because Disney, if they wanted to, could spin up as many studios as they wanted. They could have a little studio for every single TV show they're producing or whatever they wanted to do. But by buying Fox, in addition to getting Aliens and Simpsons and Family Guy and all this stuff, they have the ability to immediately start production on new projects right now. So
yeah, we're going to be seeing a lot of this. I think once we got this, the Investors Day on April the 11th, when we're going to see probably a preview of, or we know we're going to see some more information about Disney Plus. I think we're going to start seeing things ramping up. Now that this merger is complete, I think they've been holding off. I do think that they were holding off till this merger was complete before they started really going into heavily promoting Disney Plus, because in all honesty, I've been putting out bits and pieces every time I find out a bit of news, but generally Disney have been very, very quiet about what they put out. There's only really been information about the Mandalorian and the High School Musical and the shareholder meeting. We haven't really heard too much officially about things, maybe like the Pixar Spark shorts, but not a huge amount of stuff.
Yeah, and I think it's a combination, like you said, of them waiting for this deal, because if they can start announcing Fox properties, then that of course makes the catalog that much bigger and much more enticing. But also, we still don't know exactly when it's coming out. It's still a ways out. They want the hype train going, but they don't want it to pick up speed too quickly, because if they build up a lot of speed now, if they build up a lot of hype now, it'll die down, because the internet people in general are just very, what's in front of your eyes is what you're focusing on. And the second it's not on your eyes anymore, it's gone. And Disney knows that. So they want that news to be coming out when Disney Plus is available and people can actually spend money on it. So I think it's a combination of the two.
The good thing as well, the actual Investors Day, they are going to be doing a webcast on the official company website. So great for us that are at the event to kind of be able to. So I'll be bringing all the bits and pieces to it, but that's definitely going to be an interesting webcast to watch when that one comes in. So obviously, I think the big issue is going to be on with what's going on with Hulu. Now they've got 60% control of that. They are planning on running ESPN Plus, Hulu, and Disney Plus, kind of running them going. But it really depends which direction they want to take Hulu in. And I also think they need to readjust the Fox brandings of what shows come under it, what don't, how they're going to brand it, how they're going to market it. Are they just going to move certain brands over? Are they not? We just don't know. So give them time to work it all out. National Geographic, we know, is one of the brands that have been very, very key. And that, to me, is the key point, is that National Geographic is a brand that they could just kind of slap on there. And that was easy, because that was a separate one. Blue Sky Animation, I think, is going to be a good one. Fox Family. But until they get their brandings sorted, which is a key thing for Disney Plus that they want to do, they want to have this, branding sections. They're going to want to get that all in line before they kind of things. It might be a while off we hear stuff, but I think we will start seeing a lot more in the coming weeks.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, the next couple of weeks are going to be pretty exciting for hearing about what all of these Fox studios are going to be bringing to the table for Disney Plus. I mean, not just for Disney Plus, obviously, but for the sake of this podcast, what we care about is what they're bringing to Disney Plus. So
well, the thing is, to me as well, is this thing of what's going on with Hulu and what show, they are announcing shows for there, and Runaways just got picked up for third season this morning before we recorded. And they are going to want to be putting things on there, and obviously the 21st Century Fox movies that don't fit onto Disney Plus will be going there. But I think they are going to be trying to put as much on there onto Disney Plus, because they own all of it. At the end of the day, Comcast still owns 30% of Hulu, and Time or Warner Media still own 10% of Hulu. They still don't have full. They've got to spend a lot of money doing it up, and Disney Plus. This whole. I still do not think that Disney Plus, they are looking at this this is just for Mickey Mouse cartoons and for kids. This is going to be general entertainment. And there's a lot of stuff from Fox that will really boost us up.
Yeah, absolutely. And anybody at this point who thinks that Disney Plus is really just a place to stick Mickey Mouse Clubhouse episodes on really hasn't been paying attention. I mean, just alone, The Mandalorian by itself is, I think, a solid proof of that. All the stuff they're planning on doing with Marvel and Star Wars, and even outside of that. So even before you get to the Fox properties, Disney has been, no, this is for everybody. We've got stuff for top to bottom, kids to adults, everybody. And they've been pushing it hard. And then Fox is just going to increase that because, it's just as likely we'll end up seeing a lot of the more mature Fox properties ending up on there.
And also as well, the big key thing I think was this issue was Disney had done a deal obviously with Hulu, which was a separate entity with all these different companies, right? So they had done deals for ABC shows and things like that. So they were signing the contracts, right? Well, now that Disney own 40 or 60% of Hulu, those contracts are a lot easier to break because they can be at a board meeting and go, right, okay, we want to remove all the ABC content from you, and we want to, extract this from our contract. Well, yes, 60% of the table goes aye, and the other 40% goes nay. It kind of instantly then they can wriggle stuff out of. They couldn't probably put up ABC on that banner on Disney Plus because they were locked into a contract, and they didn't want to confuse people of where the Hulu content is right now. I don't know. I'm still very much not sure of how they're thinking of running these two networks together. Personally, I still not convinced it's the best option for Disney. I think an all-in-one assault with one brand against everything would mark a lot better. But you just never know. What the Hulu situation does muddy the waters a little bit. They also have all that live streaming television stuff, which Disney Plus probably won't have, which will be a key selling point as well.
Yeah, and I agree it would make a lot more sense for it all to be under a single banner if they could just get rid of Hulu. But I mean, they gathered in Hulu before Disney Plus was a thing. It's something they're kind of inheriting / gaining ownership of. So, and it's established. Yeah. It's not on the same plane as Netflix, at least not anymore. But it's at least very well known. So they can't just go, nope, Hulu's gone. If you want your Disney stuff, you're going to have to come over to Disney Plus, at least right away. If Disney Plus really does take off and you start to see Hulu subscriber numbers kind of move, and Disney will obviously have access to both who is a Hulu subscriber, who is a Disney Plus subscriber. Is there overlap? Is there enough overlap where 60% of the people who have Disney Plus also have a Hulu account? Disney could then just go, hey, we're just going to move it all over here. That means less money you're spending per month. And then, try and drag in the rest of the Hulu subscribers too.
I think the key thing is how they're going to position it. And until we got a clearer idea, it's a bit hard to know. But it's very, very difficult to know where they're exactly going to go. But I think now that the Fox deal is done, it's going to become a lot easier for them to work out what their strategy is and get it out there. And I think we're going to be hearing a lot more about it. They're probably going to stay very quiet for the next 2-3 weeks while they rearrange all the Fox stuff. And then I think at that Investors Day, we're going to start seeing a lot more information, some previews, and probably as well price, release date, because they need to get that out there now. It's, they've had this overhanging them since November. Now the Fox deal is done. I think this is when they can now start kind of getting all that information put together. So kind of on that subject, going to move on to our next one. There was a report from Deadline this last week that Grey's Anatomy would be leaving Netflix and come into their soon-to-be streaming service. It's kind of in the middle of a massive article all about how Netflix are trying to boost up their original content because basically everything's leaving. And I was a bit like, oh, okay, this is, Disney have said that they're going to be pulling content off of Netflix, and a lot of people are kind of thinking, putting it onto Hulu because you can get the current season on there now. But and there's all this big thing going on of like, oh, is it family rated? Is it adult orientated? To me, I still view a TV 14 still as family children's. It's TV 14. It's meant for children above the age of 14. That still says to me family.
Yeah, 14 or TV 14. I guess it would be kind of a PG-13 rating here in the States, although we don't have the same ratings for movies.
TV 14 is the US TV ratings.
Oh, do we use that as well? Yeah. It shows you how much I pay attention to the rating system. But yeah, TV 14 means, if you're very puritanical about language or maybe adult situations, people talking about relationships on more than just a superficial level, then all right, maybe don't let the young kids who don't understand it yet watch. But yeah, there's no content in here in Grey's Anatomy. From what I've seen, I've only seen a handful of episodes that I would be like, no, I don't feel comfortable letting I don't have anyone in that age range at this point, but my youngest sister watching this, I wouldn't feel uncomfortable watching it with her and her husband or whatever. So I don't see any issue with that. And that's even assuming that, Disney Plus doesn't end up having some 17 plus ratings. I don't think it will, but you never know at this point. But to get onto the main issue is whether or not Grey's Anatomy or shows like it will end up on Disney Plus. I think that would be a pretty big selling point for Disney Plus if they could say, hey, we've got the entire Grey's Anatomy back catalog. I don't think it's quite as strong a show as it used to be in terms of like ratings.
Yeah.
But it's still a well-known show. It's still got a lot of staying power, and it's still got some very well-remembered seasons from its early days. And as far as I know, more recent seasons haven't been considered bad. So
no, I mean, I've been watching it since me and my wife, we watch it every week. So for us, a lot of the stuff I watch on like Now TV are TV 14. They are, the ABC shows, things like Station 19, Good Doctor, things like that. I think, they do obviously go into a little bit of things, but they are essentially 14 and above. I'm very difficult that idea of going, well, PG-13 for Captain Marvel is good for Disney Plus, but a TV 14 isn't. It's like there's so little movement between those two. I can understand the TV M and the sort of the R-rated movies not being on there. I completely understand. But I do think that if they do pull the TV 14 stuff onto Disney Plus, that is going to be a big selling point, not just for teenagers and adults. I think that's the key thing. You get things like Pretty Little Liars. You get stuff like The New Perfectionist, which is just on Freeform now. That will help bring in so much more audience than just, this whole idea of it being family entertainment and it's for the kids. They want to bring more people in, and I think that we'll start seeing this rather than them putting everything onto the Hulu side, which is supposed to be this adult orientated. And it's like, yeah, or they could end up putting them out on both. It wouldn't surprise me if they ended up doing that as well.
Yeah, they could do both. And in fact, there's a lot of good reasons to put it on both because, Hulu is going to have that built-in subscriber, and it's often very difficult to convince people to go, you've been subscribed to Hulu for 5 years now. It's just something that you're used to having. Make the shift over to Disney Plus. It's much easier for them to say, here, it's on Hulu, it's on Disney Plus. You can have it whichever way you prefer. But, not punishing people for being Hulu subscribers in lieu of being Disney Plus subscribers would help keep customer base happy.
Yeah, I mean, to me now, I view in like all the, the ABC shows are much more family friendly than the Fox FX shows. There are some the Fox shows are a little bit more hit and miss. I mean, things like 911, things like that are a little bit more edgier, but again, they're still only TV 14. Whereas, things like we recently started watching the Fox's Passenger. Well, not the Passage with Zach from Saved by the Bell. That's got vampires and stuff, and it's like, yeah, this did not feel suitable for Disney Plus.
I know nothing about that show, so I can't speak to it. I hadn't even heard of it, and I haven't thought about Zach from Saved by the Bell since Saved by the Bell was still producing new episodes. So I can't comment on this. I don't have a reference.
It is a good series. It's I'm really enjoying it. But I'm just here looking at Fox's, see if I can find what it says on there. For more information, please. Oh, I love the fact that I've just clicked on this website and it's really good. For more information about this and the transaction between Disney and Fox, please visit this one here. Oh, it is TV-14. It is actually TV-14. So shows like that would be that's a little bit more edgy. I mean, it's nowhere near the Strain. I don't know if you ever watched that show. That was definitely not family friendly. And that again was a Fox show. So I think for me, we've been watching a lot of these bits and pieces over the years. So it's going to be interesting where they all fall. But hopefully we find that out soon. So other bit of news this week. John Farron put out an image of Taika. Taika Waititi or something like that. I can't pronounce his name. He was the director for Thor Ragnarok. He's going to be directing one of the episodes of the Star Wars Mandalorian show. They put up this image of him doing like a voiceover with IG-88. I would not be at all surprised with this. He does do voices. He did Korg in Thor Ragnarok. I thought that was a nice little touch. He's definitely using Instagram to get the word out.
Yeah, it's certainly an interesting choice because while I am aware that IG-88, pretty much everything that I know about IG-88 no longer exists because it's not. He has almost nothing in the current canon outside of his appearance in the movie, and I think very brief appearance in maybe some Clone Wars episodes. It's one of those things. He's supposed to be like a hardcore assassin droid. Very good at his job. Obviously, he's put in the same ranks as say Boba Fett and Bosk in Empire Strikes Back, and you're like, yeah, but Taika's a very dry humor person. So it kind of clashes with my mental picture for IG-88. But again, my mental picture from IG-88 comes from the old canon, not the new canon. We'll see. I mean, Taika is very funny if you're into that kind of humor. I thought he was great in Thor Ragnarok, not just as the director, but as Korg. Korg had some of the best lines in Thor Ragnarok. I about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, saw What We Do in Shadows, which was Taika's kind of breakout movie where it's a mockumentary following vampires in New Zealand, and it's absolutely hysterical. I laughed really hard at that movie. So, yeah, I think he'll be great as IG-88. It's just not the version of IG-88 I'm used to. I do hope that they don't just make IG-88 an updated version of HK-47 from the old Knights of the Republic game, like saying meatbag after every line and basically just being an upscaled version of that. But I suspect that's not the case. I just hope that's not.
The other thing is that he could literally be doing some beeps and boops, and that's kind of it. And they just kind of teasing it. So we don't know. On the Mandalorian front, they are going to be having a panel at Star Wars Celebration in a couple of weeks' time that takes place in Chicago. It's going to be on the Sunday. So I think that one is I think it's either the 12th or the 14th. I'll just bring up the quick news here. Yeah, so they're going to be doing a panel on it. I'm expecting at that point that we will see that weekend between the Investors Day and Star Wars Celebration on that panel that we will see a trailer for The Mandalorian. I'm pretty much taking place Sunday, April 14th at 11 a.m. and live on the Celebration stage, and it will be streamed out onto the Galaxies and Twin Sun stages. Doesn't necessarily say this is going to be streamed out on for the rest of us, but they're going to have Pedro Pascal on the stage. They're going to have Gina. At the actual presentation, you're going to see John Farron and Dave Filoni at the event. So, yeah, I'm fully expecting to see a trailer that weekend with The Mandalorian.
Not just The Mandalorian, probably a lot of Star Wars trailers coming out that weekend. The new Clone Wars trailer will probably be out. And if we're very lucky, episode 9, of course. But yeah, to get more on point, The Mandalorian, I'm agree with you 100%. At the very least, we'll get a teaser, but I hope we get a proper trailer, see what's coming. I just really quickly want to backtrack just a moment. I did a quick look up. IG-88 has appeared in 2 Forces of Destiny cartoons, and then he's also appeared in a comic following Return of the Jedi. So they have given him a voice previously, and he's actually spoken.
Yeah.
So we'll see how this kind of compares to those.
Yeah.
But let's move it back. Let's go back forward.
Yeah. So the last bit of Star Wars ones, and add it on to the list of the ever-growing list of characters that are going to get their own TV show. The Ewoks are apparently under discussion for a TV series on Disney Plus, which did make me chuckle because, hey, I sat through the first 2 seasons and those movies and the cartoons back in the 80s. There is enough content from the Ewoks from the 80s to bring over to Disney Plus without need to make anything new. That stuff was dreadful then. People thinking Last Jedi and stuff was bad, and the Clone Wars. You guys never seen anything if you didn't watch those Ewok movies and stuff. They were dreadful.
Or the animated Life Day movie that was between A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
But the greatest trick that Lucas ever pulled was convincing us the Ewoks movies didn't exist. Those movies were awful. I saw them when I was growing up too. I never watched the cartoon.
No.
I did not see the cartoon. I did not need to see the cartoon. The movies were bad enough. Please don't bring the Ewoks, the existing Ewoks cartoons and movies to Disney Plus. Now, if they make a new Ewok show from scratch, not really drawing on those, I'll give it a chance. The Ewoks are definitely not what I would pick, though. I realize that there's like a kid-friendly appeal for the Ewoks, you know. I mean, that's what they were always intended to be. They were supposed to be, well, they were replacements for Wookiees, because the Return of the Jedi was supposed to take place on Kashyyyk. But they're supposed to draw on the kids. They're the cute, cuddly, vicious, blood-sucking monsters of Return of the Jedi. I will admit that they are the subject of my favorite Forces of Destiny cartoon. I've referenced it at least on one of the podcasts previously, where it's after the Battle of Endor, and they are carting a stormtrooper away on, you know, the poles that they had the rebels on earlier in the movie. And Leia's just standing there like, no, you can't eat the stormtrooper, who's obviously clearly alive. And the Ewok's just like, whacks the stormtrooper in the head with a club, and they just carry on. I'm like, okay, I didn't expect them to do that. Now, do I think that means that they can do a good Ewoks cartoon? I don't know. I remain skeptical.
Yeah.
I mean, okay.
I'm keeping these whole Disney Plus Star Wars shows rumors. They're just it's like the Marvel characters. Every single Marvel character and every single Star Wars character currently has a rumor that they're getting a TV series. It's becoming almost like I see it and it's like, yeah, okay, I'll tell everyone, but please, like, if I can mention rumor about 4 times in it, it will kind of definitely put that in there.
I'm going to start.
Yeah,
I'm going to start a rumor right now. The character in Empire Strikes Back who is running from Cloud City carrying the ice cream maker is going to get a series. Yeah. His name is Woodruff something or other. He will be. No, that seriously is his name. Look him up, and he is going to get his own Disney Plus 7-episode series explaining what the ice cream maker is and why it's so important that he escapes Bespin with the ice cream maker. That's my prediction.
It is a bit silly. So we'll see. Like I said, I was a kid when Return of the Jedi came out, and I loved the Ewoks. I had to talk but even I as a kid didn't even like them, like the series and stuff. So we'll just have to wait and see. So that kind of rounds up like the Disney Plus news from the week. There's again rumors swinging around about the New Mutants. I'm just going to put that on. We're going to have to wait and see till the Fox deal sorted out what they're doing with all of that. Last thing really was the Toy Story trailer. They finally kind of gave us the trailer for Toy Story 4, and it wasn't just, oh, this is some weird thing. They really showed us what was going on. set in a carnival, set with antique things. Bo Peep seems to be a bad person. Like, what did you think of that trailer?
There were good parts and there were kind of questionable parts. I liked that they talked about the creation of this new character, the Spork character, and the Spork rejecting being a toy, not the illusion that Buzz Lightyear had in the first movie, but like an actual, no, I don't want to be a toy. I am meant to eat food and then be thrown away. I thought that there's an interesting angle in that. But then, we get to the Bo Peep part, and Bo Peep's like running the show in this antique shop and dodging from these little, what are they called?
Dummies, yeah.
Yeah, they were old school ventriloquist dummies. That's what it was. Yeah, ventriloquist dummies who seem mobbish or whatever. But it seemed like they're going down the same story where Bo Peep is like, no, Woody, don't go back to the kid. We can live a happy life here in the antique store. And I'm like, that was the plot for Toy Story 2 and Toy Story 3.
Yeah.
Why are we doing this plot again? So I'm kind of hoping that's a red herring, and that's really just a kind of small side story. And then Bo Peep's like, oh, okay, well, I will get back with you, Woody. And we're going to move on to this carnival where the main story takes place. But I was definitely kind of like, no, we've seen this story twice. We need something different.
Yeah, it's funny. It was an odd one. I watched it and I'm like, oh, they went a little bit different than what I was expecting, but also kind of being very similar to what we've already seen. Surprised we didn't see more of the duck and the other animals that we saw.
The Peel characters.
Yeah, we didn't really see much of them at all. They're just messing about with things. It is funny now. My nephew saw him over the weekend. He's just about to watch Toy Story 3. He's Toy Story mad at the minute. So I can see, this first movie at the cinema is going to be Toy Story 4. So this is, again, I did see Toy Story 3 a slightly thing of like, this is going to appeal to a new generation because it's been what? Nearly 10 years since Toy Story 3?
Let's find out. I can find out real fast here. But yeah, it's been quite a while.
So you got a whole generation growing up on the shorts with the extras, with the things. So there is going to be a new generation. You're going to have, maybe retelling the story and keeping to the similar things is what Toy Story is. And this is going to be a big hit. I don't know. I watched the trailer. I wasn't blown away with it. But because I think it was that kind of thing. Oh, like this seems all a bit weird. But then again, they had to get away from, I think going to the carnival will change it up with how it looks and stuff. So it does definitely make it interesting.
So Toy Story 3 came out in 2010.
Yeah.
So we're 9 years out.
Yeah. So there's been plenty of time for, you got a whole generation that has never seen a new Toy Story. So it's been a while, almost long enough to kind of give us a reboot. Kind of, it's almost it's kind of, it felt a little bit like Bo Peep was kind of, like you say, filling in the Lotso character a little bit.
Yeah, either her or Christina Hendricks' character, which is the little girl doll in the baby carriage, who is apparently called Gabby Gabby. The one thing I want to see though is Keanu Reeves' character, Duke Kaboom. I think we got a very brief look at him, but we haven't heard.
Oh, is that the Evil Knievel kind of?
Yeah.
It's going to be fun. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. It should be good, but we'll just have to wait and see. But we'll have to know what you guys think in the comments below. So that pretty much wraps up this episode of the What's on Disney Plus podcast. We'll be back next week with some more news and our thoughts and stuff. I'd love to know your thoughts as well. As I said, go check us out over at What's on Disney Plus. Like, follow, and subscribe. You keep up with us on Twitter and Facebook to get all the news as you do it. Obviously, we're still growing, so we need your support. James, where can they find you?
You can find me heroiclegacy.com.
And on that note, guys, thank you very much, and we shall see you guys soon. Laters.